Yes, so before we start the session officially, I am going to begin our session with giving a brief information about C5+1 Youth Council. In 2016, with the U.S. Embassy in the Kyrgyz Republic collaboration, the American University of Central Asia has created a dynamic C5+1 Youth Council that brings together the youths from Central Asia and Afghanistan with diverse backgrounds, leadership skills, and mindsets for positive change. Since January 2021, C5+1 YC has been administered by the American Councils for International Education, Kyrgyzstan. The goal of C5+1 Youth Council is to increase connectivity and foster leadership skills for young student leaders through engagement on issues relevant to Central Asia and Afghanistan. So now I'm going to give the floor to our expert to introduce herself. Zhaniya, thank you for being with us, and we are happy to have you here with us today. Would you please give a brief information about yourself to our audience?
Thank you very much, Hakima. Thank you, IPD. Thanks to C5+1 Youth Council. I'm a second time this my second time to be on the session organized by C5+1, and I'm very happy to be a partner, a friend of this youth network. Let me introduce myself. My name is Zhaniya Khaibullina. I'm PhD doctorate. I'm third-year doctorate at Al-Farabi National University. My PhD thesis called Water Security in Political Discourses of Central Asian Countries. As it was mentioned in the posts on Facebook page, I was also a national coordinator in Kazakhstan for Central Asian Youth for Water. And also I was responsible for communications of our youth network in Central Asia. So I think that it is the link how I find C5+1, and I'm very happy to know all of you. What else? Also, now we are working on partnership within our network, within other youth organizations to prepare a regional conference of youth. So IPD knows about our preparations, about our organizations, and if you are interested, you can contact her, and I think that she can share my contacts, and we can work together. Thank you.
Oh, that's great. Based on your background, you have contributed a lot to the climate change and also to the environment protection. So thank you so much for that. And now you can start your presentation. Let me share the screen.
Thank you. So as I mentioned, it is my second time to join this session organized by C5+1. And now I would like to share our findings, our results, our research team with you based on the article which were published recently, socio-economic and public health impacts of climate change and water availability in Aral district, Kyzylorda region, Kazakhstan. This paper, this article was prepared and published not only by me, but also by my colleagues who were also parts of ESERA project. It is economies, Society Economics of Aral Sea region project, which is sponsored by German consulate in Kazakhstan. It was very good experience for our team because we visited Aral Sea region Aral district. Kazakhstan is consisted of 19 regions, and Kyzylorda one of them, and Aral district is situated in Kyzylorda region. Could we switch to the next slide, please? Yeah, first of all, I would like to show you some contents of my today's presentation. Here should be a small introduction, literature review. I will not give you only the theory. You can see it. You can see it in the article, which I will also share with C5+1, who can distribute it to the participants of this session. Then I will show the research, how research were done, by whom, how, where, etc. Then key socio-economic indicators for Aral Sea district, Kyzylorda region. Then this part is, the next part is one of the biggest, public health in the Aral Sea area. It was prepared by my colleague, but she's on maternity leave, and I will try to just show you the figures. Also, more information you can find in the article. Regions, economic indicators, quality of life and labor market, internal migration in Aral Sea district, and results. Could we switch to another slide, please? Yeah, I wanted to ask the question, what do you know about Aral Sea shrinkage? But yeah, I think that most of the participants who are from Central Asian region, countries, yeah, what do you think? Could you just say maybe what are the reasons of shrinkage? Maybe you know more than me. Maybe you can ask questions. Yeah, I will continue. Yeah. Okay, I will continue. Yeah, most of people who live, I think that each of us know about this ecological catastrophe when in 90s years of 20th century, Aral Sea was divided into two parts, to North Aral Sea and to Southern Aral Sea. And Aral Sea was donored by Amudarya and Sirdarya, but after the getting of independence, yeah, it stopped to give the water, and the Aral Sea was divided into 4 lakes, and two of them are biggest, like North Aral Sea, which is situated in Kazakhstan, and South Aral Sea, which is in Uzbekistan part. Could we switch to the next slide? Yeah. The fall of water level in Aral Sea and increasing of mineralization, yeah, it influenced to amplitude of annual water temperature and increased temperature regime in Aral Sea area. And also, in its turn, this brought down the quality of living environment and socio-economic conditions for over 500,000 people who were living in Kyzylorda. You know that for decades, for years, local communities used drinking water, and it was full of pesticides, of salt, and also it influenced to their health and quality of life. Yeah, and the Aral Sea region, Aral Sea was famous for its fishery industry, but after this ecological catastrophe, fishery industry stopped, and people started to lose their jobs and started to migrate to either to another countries. It was forced because of collapse of USSR, and it also and they also migrated to bigger cities. Our research was was conducted in 15 settlements from Zhaksikalish. It is on the north west side of this map given on the slide to Kokoral Dam. So we conducted 120 survey from 120 respondents, and we also took 5 deep interviews, and also recorded a movie about this Aral Sea situation, which was in 2020. I also can share the link to this film. It is also given in English. By 2003, the volume of the Aral Sea went down to approximately 10%, and the surface area to about a quarter of the original. Coastline moved to 100 kilometers inward. Water mineralization surged to 2.5 times. Where once there was the sea, the salt-saturated Aral Kum desert emerged. Yeah, for ecologists, the new desert, it is a good area for their research, for conducting their research and making experiments how new life is merged. But for locals, for local communities, it is not so good, because dust storms, pesticides, and salt water give its negative impacts to the health. The study mission was to investigate the socio-economic conditions and water availability in the target region. It is Aral district of Kyzylorda region, as well as health status of local residents took place. This survey was conducted during August 31st to September 11, 2020. And on the figure, as I mentioned, we listed and showed the settlements which we visited. Please switch to the next slide. Population. The region as whole, Kyzylorda region, amounted to 800,000 people, including 58,000 people in urban, and it is 40%, and more than 50% who live in rural communities. The population is growing because of traditional system, and local communities used to have 3, 4, 5 children and more per family. Population is growing. Mortality, according to the figure, showing declining trend from 7 to 5, making the natural population growth rate about 20. On the figure on the right side, you can see round circles, and Aralsk, yeah, it is in Russian Aralsk or in Kazakh Aral, you can see that this is the biggest one. It means that here live more population. Yeah. Next slide is about public health. Climate and environmental factors are among the most common affecting public health. And those participants who live in Kazakhstan know that according to the law of the Republic of Kazakhstan on social protection of citizens affected by the Aral Sea environmental disaster, which was published on June 30th in 1992, declared the territories adjacent to the Aral Sea as environmental disaster zone. And according to this law, people who lived there, they can have like from 30 to 70% more for their salaries because of environmental disaster zone. Yeah, it depends to the zone where you lived and which negative impacts do you have, like for health and etc. It's known that the external environment, natural and climatic conditions predetermine 20% of human health condition, and more than 50% depend on the lifestyle, 22% on genetics, and 10% on healthcare. The table shows known and proven cases of weather and climate effects on human health. According to WHO, there are several known environmental and climate impacts on human health. And here on this, on public health, the next slide. Here are given figures based on region disaggregated mortality in rural children under 5 years old per 1,000 live births in 2018. And on the slide on the right, you can see which diseases are popular, like increased after the shrinkage of Aral Sea. And if you see it, upper respiratory tract disorders. As I mentioned before, these unfortunately these findings are not mine, and I tried just to show a little results, just maybe to make you interested in this article, and maybe you can read it thoroughly and make your notes for you or for your future studies based on our analytics. On the next slide, you can see region's economic indicators, quality of life and labor market. Next slide. Based on 2005 statistics, the income of 37% of Kyzylorda region population was below the subsistence minimum, and secondly decreased down to 4% in 2019. The unemployment rate in 2005 was 9% and 6.9% in 2008, and showed showed a declining trend in next years. In 2011 it was 5%, in 2015 it was 4%. According to the 2019 data, the economically active rural population amounted to 300,000 people, and most of them were employed. According to the main reason for the sharp drop in the number of rural population, including its economically active share, was that in 2007 the villages of Tazbuget and Bilkol changed their status and became urban settlements. Could we switch to the next slide, please? Internal migration. Yeah, it is unexpectedly, but after the collapse of USSR, after the biggest migration from this region to bigger countries or to bigger cities or to bigger countries, mostly to Russia, the migration from 2015 from 2005 stopped, yeah, and the population started to grow. But it is according to the official statistics, and our research was based on this data. Yeah, could we change to another slide, please? Yeah, here I try to give just some brief results. As I mentioned before, we visited 15 settlements, and we got 60 male, 60 female, and it differs according to the settlements. As you see the table, if you look to the table 2, you will see that there are more married people, because the families are very traditional there. They try to marry in the younger age, and to have their own family with 3 and more children. Single means that these people are very young, but young means like from maybe 16 to 18, but it doesn't mean that they will, in this age from 18 like to 25, it is used to be married. On the table 3, we tried to make an assessment of actual financing standing of respondent families. I tried to ask about their financial situation, and financial situation is quite good according to our survey. It means that about 40% answer that it is enough for everything except such an expensive item as housing. And the answers given like not enough money even for food, or enough money for food, but buying clothes cause serious issues. It doesn't mean that they don't have money or their financial situation is bad. I think that it refers that these answers like given by the wives of the houses, and they don't know about financial situation. It is like because everything is for financial issues, for questions, men are responsible more. I wanted to say that that it is also worth noting that local residents refer to the fact of adapting to region-specific ecology and climatic conditions. Based on the survey, the majority of respondents, more than 80%, they didn't complain about their health and denied having any diseases. And yet they didn't deny the influence of ecology and harsh climate in the region on the health of children and senior citizens. And in recent years, the total mortality decreased to 4%, and mortality from blood system diseases by 37%. More than 50%, 55% of respondents stated that either they themselves or their family members faced environmental challenges, including the 5 priority ones. They say about air pollution, drought, strong winds, soil pollution, and abnormal heat. And the survey respondents referred to children and females as the most vulnerable to environmental degradation and climate change. In general, respondents' answers were positive. Evidence that the fact that 70% of the local residents, they didn't plan to change their place of residence, and 20% didn't deny the possibility of moving to another Kazakhstan's cities. According to our observations, we saw that people, local communities, they don't migrate, and they try to stay on their places. Maybe they used to live here, and also we think that it depends on the language skills, because these local communities, they know only their local language, and it is very difficult, very tricky for them to know and to educate another language. Thank you very much for your attention, and if you have questions, please.
Thank you so much, Zhaniya. You have touched upon very important points about climate change influences and water availability influences on health, economy, and population of the region, so that our youths need to know them in order to fight climate change and know the reasons why they have to fight climate change and why they have to have this environment protection and other principles in their daily lives. Once again, I am going to give a brief information about C5+1 for the newly joined members. The Youth Council is a diverse group of youths from Kazakhstan, Tajikistan, Kyrgyzstan, Turkmenistan, Uzbekistan, and Afghanistan. Every year, a new vice members from Central Asian countries and Afghanistan are selected among students representing local universities in the Kyrgyz Republic based on open competition, which includes application review and interviews, gender balance, diversity, and genuine interest in YC or Youth Council objectives. Currently, the C5+1 Youth Council network consists of 96 Youth Council alumni and 67 Youth Council members. The Youth Council reinforces the US Central Asian C5+1 joint goals of the countering violent extremism, Central Asia business competitiveness, the C5+1 transport corridor development component, the C5+1 power the future project, and the C5+1 supporting national and regional adaptation planning. So before getting to the question that we have from our audience, let me ask you some questions. And the first one is, yes, what duties and responsibilities the young generation of Central Asia have towards their climate, and do you think they are fulfilling those duties?
Unfortunately, the climate challenges for 5 Central Asian countries are different, and moreover, on the conference, on international conference like COP27, for example, Kazakhstan they presented on another panel than, for example, Kyrgyzstan. Climate change issues are more popular in Kyrgyzstan, and it is you can find it in the articles. And young generation of Central Asia, they are trying to have these responsibilities and duties. They are trying to say about it to their ministries, to their communities, to elder generation, like saying and warning that we are facing this problem. Hello, please, let's make solution. Let's work on it. Let's work on them together. And as I know, as a former coordinator of Central Asian Youth for Water, now young generation is more active and they are like know more about such things. But I think that it is they don't fulfill their like responsibilities and duties. They are trying, and I hope that we will do it better, make it better.
Yes, you are right. And the youths, as long as I have also information, the youths who have information, who have the awareness, they are trying their best to fight this climate change, and also they are trying to create awareness for the climate change. But the problem is that in the developing countries, the rates of awareness about the climate change is very low. So in the regions where people do not have access to social media and other related things, they do not also have information about what is climate change and to what extent and through which ways they can protect their environment and they can fight climate change. So my next question is, what are the long-term consequences of climate change in Central Asia and water availability and access to fresh water sources in the region? Because you have mentioned about the influence from 2012 to 2019, I think. And so what do you think is going to happen in the future? What is the consequence in the next upcoming years?
So we will face water shortage. I can say about Kazakhstan. Kazakhstan will face water shortage. It will certainly this will be a certainly big problem for our country. The next problem will be water quality, decreasing of water quality, because we have a lot of industries which affects and negatively influenced on the water, and there is no regulations for these issues. And access to fresh water also will be decreased in Kazakhstan. I think that still climate change theme is very popular in Kyrgyzstan, as we see in media. But in Kazakhstan, we say more about water crisis, because Kazakhstan is dependent by 47% to neighbor countries.
Yeah, actually, as I know, in Afghanistan also there are people in the regions where they are already facing this access to fresh water, and also to which we can say water crisis. They had access to fresh water in the previous years, but in the recent 2 years, like they do not have access to fresh water. And also maybe it's not a consequence of their action, but it's a consequence of the actions or the pollution and climate change which caused in the region, in Central Asia, in the neighboring countries, and also in the world. So it has a larger impact. And thank you for answering that. We have a question from one of our participants, and she has asked that has this study been published? The study which you have had in your presentation, I think she means that.
Yeah. This article was published in Central Asian Journal for Water Resources. It is Kazakh National University's journal. Yeah, was published in April of this year.
Okay, great. And we have this next question from Ipri, which asks, thank you for sharing this research, Zhaniya. What are your future plans for conducting research in the field of water availability or climate change in the Central Asia?
I plan to work further on water security, but I will be focused more on water access on access to safely managed water and sanitation in Kazakhstan, and I will try to visit other regions of Kazakhstan, and I will also try to compare case study of our country with maybe European countries or American countries. I am thinking on it now. And yeah, and also I wanted to make fellowship in Kyrgyzstan or in Tajikistan because I wanted to see how it works in upstream countries.
Okay, thank you so much. So, as let me just. Yes, thank you so much, Zhaniya, for answering our questions. Do you have any final remarks for our participants and for the audience regarding the climate change, water availability, and also environment protection?
Yes, I would like to invite members of C5+1 to be partners of Careful Water and to work together for climate change, for popularization of these things in our countries, and make our and to be together on regional conference on youth, and to make our joint announcement from the youth of Central Asian countries. Thank you very much for your invitation.
Thank you so much. We have one last minute popped question. If it's okay, can I ask it? Yes, it is from Eric, and he asked, just let me show. I have no idea. Hi, I have no idea whether we have water discharge system and quality as well or not.
Unfortunately, we don't have this system. The infrastructure that was constructed during Soviet Union times, it's still they're still on the territories of our countries, and they're very old, and we have to renovate them. And we have also the second moment is that we have a lack of specialists who can do something technically or chemically, or to work on these systems to estimate of all of this. Yeah, I think that we don't have.
Okay, thank you so much. So before we end our session, I'm going to give one last reminder about what is C5+1 Youth Council. In 2016, with the US Embassy in the Kyrgyz Republic collaboration, the American University of Central Asia has created a dynamic C5+1 Youth Council that brings together youth from Central Asia and Afghanistan with diverse backgrounds, leadership skills, and mindsets for positive change in 2016. Since January 2001, C5+1 Youth Council has been administered by the American University by the American Councils for International Education, Kyrgyzstan. The goal of C5+1 Youth Council is to increase connectivity and foster leadership skills for young student leaders through engagement on issues relevant to Central Asia and Afghanistan. And the Youth Council is a diverse group of youth from Kazakhstan, Tajikistan, Afghanistan, Turkmenistan, Uzbekistan, and currently the C5+1 Youth Council is a network of which consists of 96 Youth Council alumni and 67 Youth Council current members. So thank you so much, Zhaniya, for giving a very productive presentation. And thank you for answering the questions and your final remarks. It was our pleasure to have you with us.
Thank you very much, Khadima. Thank you. Bye.
Goodbye and thank you once again. So our friends and those who are here, please follow us on the social media pages, which is Facebook and also Instagram, LinkedIn and Twitter. We will be happy and pleased to have you. And thank you so much for being with us and following our today's session. Goodbye and have a good day.
Goodbye, have a good day.
Goodbye.